That being said,
What?
and it's not. Do you know about GMOs?
Yeah, I mean,
What do you
just
know
in the
about
sense
GMOs?
that they can be modified to have different things, like
Well, you're a
more
GMO.
resistant to certain whatever diseases or more drought tolerant.
What do you know about GMO? You just laid
I don't
out.
know the effects of it on the, like, are you talking like in the human body or what? Like,
Well, I'm no scientist.
But I mean,
I'm saying I know the concept of it.
so there's
I don't-
different levels of GMO, right? Mm-hmm. Senator Gertrudis cow is a GMO. We took Brahmas, Shorthorns, started mixing stuff around. You get different breed of cow. That's genetically modified organism because we interacted with it. There's the other side where you take CRISPR technology. Just saw an article the other day. A Chinese scientist come out and said he had created 2 girls through CRISPR technology that were AIDS and HIV resistant. They'd changed something in their genome. That is a genetically modified organism. When you're talking about, we're not going to get into like conspiracies with Monsanto and stuff like that.
No, I'm not. I don't give a
But-
shit about the.
But if you can make a potato that's blight resistant, if you can make a corn that's wilt resistant, if you can make a corn that outputs, especially like a place like North Dakota that gets like 10 inches of rain a year or 13 inches of rain a year, they can actually produce bushels per acre as opposed to, a half a bushel per acre.
Now, yes. This is why we're talking about this. You know how Spoonie just fucking nailed some scientific gibberish. You tuned out a long time ago. I was hoping Braxton, but he's not woke enough. You need to woke him a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was hoping with your generation, they only know the evils of GMOs. What are the evils of GMOs?
I don't even know that side of it.
Nobody knows the evils of GMOs. Like
Because
consuming them, eating them.
Right, but everything's a GMO. What is it? Ever-bearing strawberries, the most popular strawberry in the world, because it produces for the longest amount of time. It's probably what you're eating at the grocery store. Was
Is a GMO.
specifically selected over generations. We don't even know where strawberries came from. They've been in production that long. That's how long it's been around. It's like aloe vera. Aloe vera is a plant that we don't know where it originally came from, even though there's hundreds of species of aloes, because it's been in human hands that long.
For so long. So all of that, you're not on social media. You've never been on social media. So like what was it? Probably 3, 4, 5 years ago. Jenny McCarthy comes out with the anti-vax movement. She creates the anti-vax movement. I mean, out of thin air, an MTV VJ just fucking makes vaccines fucking not cool
She was
anymore.
hot, so that helped.
Yeah, she was in Playboy, and then the GMOs get just demonized. All right, let's go. Let's see what we got.
History, there's never been an abundance of food. All food is the product of technology. Apples, corn, tomatoes, all modified. Every food has been changed through selective breeding or grafting. For 10,000 years, each attempted improvement has changed the DNA of the plant. Now, some people are up in arms about changes in DNA. You know what? If you're able to get up and have food, you should celebrate. We should all dance about how much food we have. Why is anyone fighting food advance? A very small percentage of the world's population is fortunate enough to have the luxury of turning down food. The rest of the world spends most of its time trying to get any food. You know why? Technological problems. They got dirt, they got water, they got sun. They lack the technical ability to till or enrich the soil. They lack the machines to plant enough to feed their families. They lack the hybrid plants that produce more food per acre. We need to spread all the technology all we can so all people everywhere can deal with the problem of too much food. We can't start getting picky because we've got enough food. That's just self-centered and racist. Unless you and yours are starving, you need to shut the fuck up.
All right. So all of that's what we're basically saying. But your generation demonized GMOs.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And they were demonized. It was the anti-vax movement, whole fucking.
So there's 2 levels of demonization, right? There's the farmers against GMOs through the big companies where they're getting sued because bees flew across the road and pollinated their flocks, and now the companies are trying to enforce, them to pay for a genetically modified plant that they didn't have.
Yeah, but
But that's not like an everyday problem. The stuff that people are talking about here, like Penn is talking about, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, we send so much food back it's thrown away because it's bruised that people could eat.
Yes, I know all of that. You're the house moms, the housewives, the TikTok wives. Okay, they're out there, and they're not on the spin right now. But every now and then, GMOs it's like processed food. It's like like Pam with Pop-Tarts, but with GMOs.
Well, that was because of my sensitive stomach.
Yeah, but with GMOs. So it really is amazing how far away from their food people have gotten that they don't even really realize what it takes. Like all right, so the FDA comes out, or it would be the USDA comes out and makes a regulation that says, in order for this to be grass-fed beef, to get the grass-fed beef stamp at the grocery store, it has to be finished on grass.
And they do have those regulations. They have, this is what to put that label on this food, it means this. I promise you, all them people on TikTok have never read what that actually takes.
Yes, but
to get that label.
But do you think that grass-fed beef that's finished on grass has never ate grain?
No,
that's completely.
And I
false.
also I personally believe that grain-fed or grain-finished beef tastes better. That's my personal belief.
That you can have a personal belief if you want one. We're just going to assume, since you're male and white, it's racist and move on. So that, in and of itself, with that little label, that one label, organic, does it mean it had no pesticides on it?
I don't remember. It's a certain time period.
It's a time period,
right?
It's a time period before harvest. So they're so far away from their food, that they don't ever read the regulations. And the funny thing is that they jump over themselves, like the FDA is God and Jesus and everything when it comes to vaccines, but with food production, no, they're out to get us. And it's the flip-flop side of both of those arguments, but from both sides, both the same side that shouts down the FDA whenever it comes to all the shit over the last 2 years, prop them up whenever it comes to food production. You know, they're always attacking both sides of that coin. To me, like, everybody's so far away from it, the government can no longer properly govern the food. They can't properly govern rural America, because whenever they make a law against fertilizer, right? Because they use natural gas.
Why the farmers in Sweden are protesting now?
Because they use natural gas to make fertilizer, because it's going to reduce carbon footprint, yada 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 yada, whatever that is, right? The math might check out on that one thing, but what are the adverse reaction to it? How many people will have to starve to death? And what will that starving to death and how many more acres will have to be planted? How much more environment will have to be destroyed to be able to feed the same amount of people?
This is like, you can roll that back to like something as simple as the ethanol rules, where we have to put a certain amount of ethanol in gas that it has ethanol in it. You can buy ethanol free.
I've got links on that in here too.
And that transfers into rising beef costs, rising chicken costs.
All relevant. This is something I stumbled across this morning. This book is not on Audible. So to be able to be able to read it, it's going to be very hard for me to read this book if I have to read it.
You can get an app that takes a PDF and reads it to you.
Ah, Lord, I hope so.